All right, greetings, Sand Wardens. Have I got a guide for you, the solos, those who are getting ready to go into the deep desert, just got your assault ornithopter, but you don't know what you're doing and you don't know what to bring. I got you. Here we go. All right, Sand Wardens. So today we're going to talk about how to get set up in the deep desert if you're brand new and you just got your assault ornithopter, but you don't know what to do. So I'm going to help you get the necessary items that you need. Right now, you're going to use plain regular generators, and you're going to use the medium regular wind traps. The large wind traps, you're not going to go for because they take up a lot of duraluminum, and you probably don't have that much right now. Next, we're going to use a medium generator, which you probably already have, or a medium ore refinery, excuse me. And you're going to follow that up with a small spice refinery. Now, you probably already have those items in your base. If you don't have the materials to recreate them for the deep desert, what you're going to do is you're going to take the ones that you already have and you're going to bring them into the deep desert. And what's interesting about that is you're going to have more than enough resources when you go out in the deep desert to rebuild them back at your home base. Okay, the deep desert only costs half the resources when you build fabricators, refineries, or any kind of items out there, right, for crafting. It only takes half the resources. Now lastly, the medium chemical refactory you can't, or excuse me, the small chemical factory you can't use. You need to use the medium chemical refactory. And the reason for this is the medium chemical factory is the only one that can produce stravidium, okay? And if you're building these all out before you put them in your ornithopter, make sure you turn off the power, which is what I'm doing now, so that my base doesn't lose power. And like I said, when you build these all out in your base, you're going to have, when you break them down and you bring them to the deep desert, you're going to find that you'll have double the resources because it only takes half the resources to craft everything, okay? And that's why I'm building it out here in front of you to show you all the things that you'll need. Alright, so what I'm doing here, going back to the generator side, right? I'm not going to build out all the generators that you need. You're going to need a lot. But there's plenty of resources in the deep desert, so you don't need to bring a bunch of fuel cells or scrap metal, right? But you will have to bring these other resources. So since we're making wind traps, you want to create at least 2 wind traps. That'll give you 4 wind traps out in the deep desert. And I'm showing you the large wind trap here just to show you how much materials you'll need, because once you get that much, you can create 2 for every 1 that you create here in the Haga Basin, right? And then, you know, when we get up to the large ore refinery, this is the amount of materials that you're going to need, but reduced by half, right? So just to kind of show you kind of a trick here, like if you look at the resources, if you half it, you'll know how much you'll need in the deep desert, right? Same thing with the small ore refinery, the medium, or the small spice refinery, the medium spice refinery, and then finally the large. And finally with the chemical factory, like we was talking about before, you know, you can half the resources there and you can bring that out there, but we're going to bring all of it. Now, just a note with the plastinium, you're only going to make a certain amount because it takes up a lot of water. You need 4 titanium per every stravidium. And then for the wind trap, you want to make sure you have the standard filters. You can make the makeshift filters out of fiber, but you want to bring standard filters for that. So you want to bring your fuel sources, right? Just don't worry about the fuel cells for now. Now, as far as storage containers, you're going to bring the regular storage container, a chest, and then your small storage container. You can make a bunch of those with scrap metal, but the other 2 storage containers, you're going to need some of your refined iron and aluminum, which is fine. Then you're going to bring a couple small cisterns and some medium cisterns. And what this is going to do is help you start off with your water supply. Your water is going to be your most strenuous resource to get, right? So I'm trying to give you an idea of the stuff that you'll have at tier 5, right? And I'm not trying to bring anything that you might not have. So I'm trying to give you the basics here of what you can bring. And now everything that you have here is going to turn into double, right? Except for the refineries. We're not going to make 2 refineries. But this is all you're going to bring. And now we're going to break it down and put it in the ornithopter. Alright, what I want to show you real quick is I have a container here just full of vehicle parts. You can get all your vehicle parts here in Haga Basin. You don't need to actually build anything, to be honest with you. In the Odam and some of the other tier 5 areas, all those testing stations have all their chests have a chance to have a vehicle part in it, and you can get all your vehicle parts from there. You can scavenge too. You don't need a high level chassis, right? But what you do need is a MK6 cutter array. The focused one is the best one. And then I would get either the Bloodshot MK5 or MK6 buggy engine. That helps with heat. And lastly, the treads. You want an MK5 treads or MK6. MK5 for speed and turning, right? If you have anything lower than that, you're not going to go as fast. It's going to feel like you're turning like a huge freight train. So you want something fast. Right now I'm taking the buggy out of my cargo container, and I'm going to take that. Put your highest volume items in your ornithopter and carry the lighter stuff on your person so you can save inventory space and volume. Okay, last thing I want to show you is the cutter arrays and the filters. So make sure you get your standard filters, your makeshift filters. When you get up to the large water wind trap, you want to get the particle filter and then the advanced particle filter, and you'll see that on the advanced fabricator, right? Now, one thing I want to show you too is your chances are you're going to have to make a penta shield. So if you already have penta shields at your base, just remove them, take the resources, put them in your ornithopter, and then rebuild back your penta shields right on your base. It's the easiest way to get the materials that you need. And when you're out in the deep desert, you don't want huge penta shields, right? Until you're in the very late game and you want to build elaborate bases. Right now, you just need a way to get your ornithopter in and out. So don't make huge penta shields, because that also requires a lot more energy, a lot more generators. Then make sure you fill up your water. If you have any water containers from any of the overland testing stations, bring them with you, fill them up with water, because that helps you get started with water. So what I want to show you real quick is the tools that you're going to need. So for this little journey out in the deep desert, you need to make sure that you have a cutter array that works. I highly recommend the Taro cutter array. You can get it in the Landsrad missions, but there is actually a place in Shoal that it almost always spawns. Or if you go there, you could go there 10 times in a row and it might not get it, but it's likely you're going to get it fairly quickly. It is one of the best cutter arrays in the game. It does the better than the tier 6 cutter array for titanium and strontium, or does about the same, and then better for jasmium. So it's actually one of the best ones that you can get. Now, for your advanced, your other stuff, right? If you don't have the Taro cutter array, you can go with the regular cutter array, MK6 cutter array. Now, it doesn't do as well for jasmium, but it does the same amount for titanium and strontium, so it's not a bad cutter array to use. Obviously, the Kynes cutter array, this one you can get in the caves out in the deep desert. It is the best cutter array in the game, right? If you have that, that's the one you want. It does take quite a bit of resources to make, so if you don't have the resources to make any of these, highly recommend do the Taro cutter array, right? We'll go back to it. It doesn't take that much stuff to make, right? And it takes duraluminum spice dust, which you might have a lot of by now, or a little bit. Last but not least, the Omni static compactor, right? So the gathering rate's very high on the tier 6, but the worm attraction is also high. You definitely want the compact compactor MK6. The worm attraction is only medium, but the gathering rate's extreme, right? That is the best compactor in the game. Now, as far as boots are concerned, I'm wearing my forge boots right now. But if we check my ornithopter, you want to make sure that you get the Tabber soft step boots. Now, the soft step boots give you minus 45% to worm threat. There's a chance that you probably already have these. You have the regular tier 6. You can get it out in the deep desert. You can get out the testing stations, the caves out there. It drops pretty regularly, and it's dropping in the overland testing stations as well. So highly recommend you grab this as well, right? And then have your weapons that you're going to use out in the deep desert. If you have a las gun, bring it. If you don't, it's okay. Definitely bring a rocket launcher. You can also make the tier 5 rocket launcher, so don't be afraid to arm yourself and to get the gear that you need, right? You're not going to lose it. You're going to follow these tips and you're going to be just fine. Alright, so here we are in the shoal. Now, I want to show you exactly where you can get the tall cutter array. So right here, this cave, Shaitan's Grotto. You can get the tall cutter array here. You can also get it in Wreck of the Oria. I haven't seen it really spawn there, but I've had it spawn for me a lot in this grotto. Now, I've already checked it, and it's not there, but I'm going to show you real quick. If you go in here, and you're just going to hang left right through the cave, and you can get a lot of good stuff in here as well. A lot of different things like Dew Reapers, you know, Leader Johns, whatever. But you can also get a lot of Duraluminum too. I've seen a lot more spawn here. And then in this entire cavern system, like all the micro sandwich fiber and EFM generators you can possibly get, and you can even break down the weapons that are in here for extra stuff. So don't be afraid to come in here and grab all you need. Yeah, the radiation will build up fairly quickly, but it's not a big deal. I've already been here for a little bit. That's why the radiation is building up on me. But just come down here, check every time you're leaving Haga Basin. You can quickly see if you get a tall cutter array fairly quickly. Okay. Alright, so I want to just show you real quick on the Landsrad. If you don't have luck getting the tall cutter array, don't go and buy it. You'll find it if you keep checking the shoal. But if you look at the Landsrad, you can see the Kynes cutter array only for 10,500. You can continue doing gathering missions, right? Keep claiming House Soar and you can get the Kynes cutter array. Same thing with the Compact Compactor MK6, right? If you're doing the crafting missions, just keep pledging for House Hagel and you'll get that every week. So continue to do your missions every week. I like to, every couple days I'll save them up and then I'll do a bunch, but you can quickly get to your goals for the houses, right? So you can get the swatches or whatever rewards that they're giving. Alright, now that we're on our way, I'm going to speed this video up again because I know we're getting close to time here with you guys and I want to respect your time. So what we're going to do, we're going to head over the deep desert and we are going to go to the PvP deep desert. You can go to the PvP if you want to, but the PvP deep desert, you're going to get 2.5 times the resources and it's just going to be a lot faster. So I highly recommend it. Check the Dune Awakening database. We are going to go to the left side of the map this time. There's a lot more, you know, the large spice fields out there, right? So that's where PvPers might be, but what we're really looking for are the small and mediums, and you can go to the large ones. Just keep your head to the sky, right? Keep your eyes to the sky, and you're just going to get a little bit of sand at a time. You're not going to fill up your ornithopter. You're going to get a little bit and then you're going to go. All right. And the reason for this is you're trying to build up your base to where you have the large spice refinery and the large ore refinery, and then you can do mass production, right? And you're going to need a lot of spice and plastinium for this. You're also going to need a large amounts of water and large amounts of storage. So what you want to do right now is just get the resources you need to get the refineries that you need, right, to get built up. All right, so I was just kind of cutting that there because I was looking for resources. You want to see if there's a lot of stravidium and titanium, right? And we didn't bring any building materials, so you want to make sure there's at least granite, right? And there's granite over there behind the ornithopter. So I'm picking a spot that has a lot of close resources, and you want at least 4 stravidium nodes, or excuse me, 4 titanium nodes for every stravidium node. Now the first thing you're going to do is place down your subfief, and then you're going to place down your storage containers and start filling it up with all your resources and all your buggy parts, right? Once you get all your resources out, you're going to put your buggy together, and then you're going to go and get everything that you need, right? Stravidium, titanium, granite, and then you're going to build up your base and then unload your buggy as needed, right? So I'm speeding this up really fast because you don't need to see me collecting with my buggy, right? You've done it many times, but you want to build your base. I like the pillar technique, right? If you put your base on a pillar, you can collapse it at the end of the week, and it's easy to do that and get all your resources back, right? And so use the advanced subthief, build your base out pretty big. Now, I'm not going to tell you how to build your base, but what I like to do is build a base as big as the subfief will let me, the advanced subfief, and then you're going to put your wind traps outside. I like to put them either at a top on a ledge, or at least, somewhere where it's not going to be obstructed, right? If you have too many walls or enclosures around your wind traps, they're not going to work. And that's super important, right? So once you get your basic base set up, you can start putting all the refineries and storage that we talked about all around your base. Now, one tip that I like to do is I like to put everything like against the wall and under ledges, right? Especially if they're generators. That way you can just line everything up and then start powering up your generators, right, with your subfief, or storing everything in your storage containers, right? I just went and collected a bunch of stuff with the buggy. Now I can just offload the buggy into the storage containers, right? You can also set up all your circuits, right, all in a row, and basically just get set up for crafting, right? So right now I'm just making sure I have enough energy as I'm building, right? Because you want to make sure your shield's up. And when you're building your base, just think about the nodes that you're near, right? You want to have copper, you want to have regular granite, and then obviously you want to have stravidium and titanium, right? Because those are your main resources that you want to get. So if you have all those there, you can build as many, water storage containers and storage containers that you need in the beginning here, right? Because we're not storing a whole lot, so you can get 100 of these little storage containers. Actually, the limit's 75, and I'll show you that here soon. And so what I started to do right away was set up my circuits and then go to my ore refinery and start crafting all the copper, because the copper doesn't require water, right? You can craft as much copper as you want. So get your copper going, and then you can start building all your little mini water storage containers, right? And then delete them as you need to build bigger ones, right, once you hit the max. But that's what I'm going to do next, is build out all the water, because you want to get up to about 500,000 water for the beginning, right, when you just get started. All right, now I'm just making sure the base maintenance is taken care of, and I like to make sure my generators are all powered. Everything, stravidium is being taken care of right now. All the copper is being refined. And now my last part is I like to just put some finishing touches on the base. I also like to put a landing platform for any friends of mine, right? So I always put the scout ornithopter up on a ledge, and then all my storage, I put a water cistern up there, right? Also, so if anybody lands, they can get some water. But I basically like to, I was kind of messing with these doors. For some reason, the mechanical doors weren't closing on them. But anyway, what I like to do is I like to put those ledges out like that. That way I can just put all the generators underneath if I'm going to use generators, and, storage containers. They're kind of like out of sight, right? If I can put them somewhere where they're not in the way and I have a lot of space to move with, and then just put little finishing touches on the base to make the base look nice, you know, it's going to get destroyed anyways, but it's up to you guys. You build the base that you want, make it feel like the way you like to make it look, because at the end of the day, it's that's what this game is about. It's about building your own enterprise and, you know, having fun doing the things that you like to do in this game. So don't let anybody tell you how to play the game. Just pick up your tips and tricks and then do the things that you want to do the way you want to do it. But this is just giving you a good idea of how to get initially set up in the deep desert. And I'm just going to show you a quick tour of the base, quick look, right? And all the resources that are around my base right now, all the plant fiber that you can collect, right? So you can make filters for your wind traps, right? There's plenty of titanium all around the base. And, it's just a quick look to kind of show you where everything's at. I know I'm going through this really fast, speeding the video up, but, again, I want to make sure that you guys get all the information you need in a quick amount of time. Now, to harvest the resources, especially way out, getting the sand and all the other requirements that you're going to need for your medium spice refinery and your large ore refinery, I'll go over that in part 2 of this video. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. Part 2 will be right after it, so you won't have to wait for it. But please like and subscribe. Helps me figure out what content to make for you guys. Helps me to get to know you guys and see what people are looking for. So I appreciate you checking this video out, and Cho out.